Okay, so this is 7.4b. This will not be a long video. All we're going to do is go over the graphing. As you can hear, I'm still a little under the weather, but hopefully you will follow along just fine. So when we graph a cosine, again, it's not really a big deal, but what we want to do is you'll see these three graphs are a little bit different. This graph up here, you see degrees along your x values. This one down here, you just see normal values, and then here you see radian values. Understand, it's really easy and much easier to graph using degrees and radians, but the reality is most graphs are going to be in normal numbers. So we need to make sure that we know how to translate that. So when we graph a cosine, what I always tell you is the easiest way to graph a cosine is to know where the cosine is equal to 1, know where it's equal to 0, and know where it's equal to -1. So again, if you recall, a cosine is going to be your x value. So we know that x value is equal to 1 at 0. We know that the x value is equal to 0 at 90 degrees. We know that it's -1 at 270 degrees, or I'm sorry, at 180 degrees. It's back to 0 again at 270. And then all the way back to 1 at 360. And again, we can go completely reverse. We know at -90 it'll be 0. And then 180 will be -1. And then again, you can kind of get the idea that this will be a smooth curve. And that's what a sine curve looks like, or a cosine curve and a sine curve. Just remember, the cosine curve always starts at 1. How do we know that? Because the cosine of 0 is equal to 1. So that graph will always start at 1, and then it'll take its normal harmonic motion there. All right, let's look at the sine. So again, that is when you see, that was easier because it had the degrees. Let's look at the cosine. Let's do this one first because this one's a little bit easier. So again, in radians, really easy. We're starting at 1 because it's a cosine curve. We know that pi halves is going to be 0. We know that pi is going to be -1. 3 pi over 2 back to 0. And then 2 pi back to 1. And obviously, same thing in reverse. We can draw our curve. Okay, and again, you can see that it's kind of a smooth curve. And it looks the same all the way through. So now let's look at a graph where it's regular axes. So this is important because this is the way a graph normally looks. So that means you're required to, 1, change everything to radians, and then just multiply it out to see what it is. So if you recall, pi is equal to approximately 3.14. So if we know where the sine is going to be equal to 0, like for example, I know sine is equal to 0 at 0, and then I also know that it's equal to 0 at pi. So then I can go to 3.14 and put another one at 0. I can go to -pi, put it at 3.14. Those are all my zeros. Then we know that sine of pi over 2 is going to be 1, and I know that 3 pi over 2 is going to be -1. So therefore, I again approximate where it would be. Pi over 2 is going to be a little bit more than 1.5. So therefore, right around here. And then 3 pi over 2, again, is going to be somewhere in between pi and 2 pi. And it's going to be an approximation, of course. But I think all of us know how to graph by now. And then we know that 2 pi is going to be somewhere around 6.28, and then you get the general idea of what that graph looks like. And notice it doesn't look any different. It's still the same harmonic motion. It still goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and that's it. It just keeps cycling over and over and over again, but we just need to understand where it's going to max out, where it's going to bottom out, and where it's going to be zero, and that's all based on this. So what we're going to do in class tomorrow is we have this thing on the back of your notes. This is going to be part of your assignment to fill this in, and we're going to work on it together. I'll guide you guys through it. We're not going to do it in the notes because it'll just take too long. We might as well just spend some class time to do it. So hopefully this was real simple. Take the quick quiz that you're going to have if that's what's been assigned, and I will see you guys tomorrow.